Hey, what's up guys? I'm Theo Joe, and today I'm going to teach you an awesome trick that the cell companies definitely don't want you to know, and that is how you can trick your cell phone into giving you unlimited cell data no matter what carrier you're on, and it will also work on any cell phone that you might have, and it's so simple you probably won't even believe it until you try it yourself. In this video I'm going to explain what you need, how to do it, and why it works as well, so stay tuned, it's surprisingly easy. Now first, the most obvious question is how could this be possible? Most cell phone companies no longer offer unlimited data plans, and of course, they track how much data you're using. And this is true, but we can actually trick the service into thinking that you haven't used any data at all. You see, cell phone companies keep track of how much data you're using in the following way. Whenever you download a document, fetch emails, stream a video, anything like that, your cell phone downloads that file and then records how much data was used in that connection. After the download is completed, your cell phone sends a TCP data packet back to the cell trunk in the service containing information about how much data you just used for that file, which is called a file report. But knowing this, if we were able to somehow block the file report from being sent back to the cell company, it would look like to them that you didn't download any data at all, even though you did download that file successfully. Now, you may be thinking, how can we block just that file report without blocking everything else? Well, it turns out that that file report is actually sent from the phone on a separate frequency that's not used by anything else. So we just need to find something that will block that single frequency, which is possible, and that's exactly what I'm going to show you today. Now, to do all this and get the unlimited data, you're only going to need three things. First of all, your cell phone, of course. Next, your cell phone case. And finally, bear with me, yes, a roll of duct tape. I'll explain. It turns out that when properly placed and configured, duct tape has the exact properties required to absorb the frequency used by the file reports, which happens to be 9.01 kilohertz. Now, I'm going to explain all the science behind this, which might get pretty technical, so if you just want to get right into the tutorial, I totally understand. You can just skip ahead past all the technical stuff. So why don't we get into some of the fun science stuff? Now, based on several scientific studies that have been done on duct tape, specifically regarding the absorption patterns for electromagnetic frequencies, we know that in the one we're concerned about, duct tape has a transmission value of about 0.001. This measurement would have been done with a tool called a spectrophotometer, but basically all you need to know is that the duct tape is going to block 99.9% of the signal used by the phone to send the file report. We also know, based on several published tests and reports by Bill Gates himself while he was developing Windows, that most network parity systems require at least 70% of an original signal to reconstruct any missing parts. So if the duct tape is blocking 99.9% of it, there's no way that signal is going to get through. The reason this happens and that the duct tape is able to block the signal is that when the frequency is sent out by the phone and tries to pass through the duct tape, it induces a tiny electromagnetic field in the duct tape itself. Because duct tape is an insulator, this field is obviously going to be minuscule, but it does create what are called eddy currents, which are essentially small electrical currents that exist within a planar material, such as a piece of tape, instead of a wire. As the phone tries to send the signal, it may detect that it's not getting through and is being blocked, which means the phone may try to send it at even higher power. But as that higher power is amplified, the eddy currents within the duct tape are also amplified, further strengthening the blocking abilities of the duct tape, so nothing gets through no matter how strong the phone broadcasts. Now, this special property that exists in the duct tape is because of the hexagonal lattice of the tape's adhesive, but we're not going to go that deep into the science today, unfortunately. The short summary is that duct tape is able to block a very small number of random frequency bands, most of them useless, but 9.01 kilohertz is one of them, and we could take advantage of that. There are actually a few other materials that are able to block the 9 kilohertz spectrum, but duct tape is by far the cheapest and the most convenient, unless, for example, you want to go out and buy some pure strips of platinum. So by now you're probably ready to actually do this, and despite my long-winded explanations, it's actually very simple. So why don't we go over to the table and I'll show you what you have to do. Alright, so once you have everything together, your duct tape, the phone, and the case, all you need to do is create a strip of folded duct tape that's about the same size as the phone. So let me show you what I mean. Now, let me find the end of this. And scissors will always help. So take out a piece of duct tape, and we don't want it to be covering any of the cell phone camera or flash, and this is not going to go directly on the phone. we're actually going to fold it. So if we fold it about this long, that should be okay. So now you can see it's long enough to cover most of the phone, but it's not going to cover the flash or the camera. And we can actually just cut that right now and put it in the case to make sure. Perfect length. So now this is going to be covering a majority of the phone, but not the important parts. Now, this is all that's required. Depending on the thickness of your case and your phone, might be the only thing that's going to fit. But if you could add more strips and layers, that will always make it more efficient. So it might work better if you add more layers. So let's just add a couple more layers, and we can just do that by putting it on like that and folding it over just like that. So we have about five or four layers right there. And then all you have to do is stick that in the case so it's not covering up anything, and put the phone in there. And if it's too thick, you can use less layers, but that seems to fit okay. Well, it'll work for the purpose of this video. Probably need to take off a couple layers, but you get the idea. Either way, do not attach the tape and stick it right onto the phone. It'll just make a mess that's difficult to remove, and it's not necessary, so you always want to fold it, of course. And that's all you have to do. Okay, now after that, your cell phone is no longer sending file reports to your carrier, so they don't think you're actually using any data. Now, unfortunately, there's no way to tell if this worked until your next bill comes and you can see the data usage, so don't go downloading tons and tons of gigabytes until you're sure it's working. Also keep in mind, your cell phone in the settings may still show the actual amount of data you're using, but it won't count because it's not actually being sent to the carrier to be recorded. As you can see in my cell phone bill here, it shows that I used 0 gigabytes in the past month, so there was no charge, even though in reality I actually used quite a bit of data, as you can see here in my phone settings. Finally, the best part about this trick is it's not software based, so it cannot be patched by the cell companies. The cell phone file report frequency is determined at the time the phone is manufactured. So the only way the cell service companies could fix this is if the cell manufacturers were to change the frequency going forward. And because this is such a widely adopted standard, that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. So there you have it. You can now get unlimited cell data no matter what carrier or phone you're using, and I really hope you guys found this video helpful. Let us know down in the comment section maybe what carrier you have and whether it worked for you. And also, if you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up so I know you liked it. If you guys want to keep watching, I've got some other videos on the right-hand side. I think you'll enjoy those. You can just click those or look in the description for the same link, like if you're on a phone. And if you want to subscribe, I make new videos at least 3 times a week, so I think it should be worth it. I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys either here on YouTube or on Twitter. So thanks for watching. I will see you next time. Have a good one.